1 2 1 2 1 2. Testing, testing, 1 2 1 2. Oh, we got a lot to talk about, deep divers.
Okay, let's start the show with this catchy tune.
We're back with a fresh new sound. Calling all stars out there. You know who you are. This is dedicated to you. All to you.
We are
What?
forever stars. We come and go. Tomorrow's old.
Yes.
Forever stars.
Woo. I like the sound of this one. Talk to me.
And I know we can be so much more than what we are. We can be so much more than how we live. We all came here for a reason of difference, to experience our lives in mysterious circumstances. Where we find ourselves is where we chose to be, forever changing. That's how it's supposed to be. And we are forever stars. Of course we are. We shine and glow, illuminate the sky without getting old. Stars shining brightly now. Shine on,
Oh,
shine on.
sing it for me now. Come on.
We are
Yes.
forever stars.
Forever stars.
We come and go.
Don't raise your head down, raise your head up.
Tomorrow's old.
You can start now. Start looking up at the sky. Yes, that's better.
Forever stars.
That's what we came here to do.
We are
What we came here to do is just
forever
manifest
stars.
greatness,
We come
abundance,
and go.
joy in our hearts.
Tomorrow's old.
We're not crying on this one. We're not sad or anything like that. We're just celebrating.
Forever
That's what we're made of. We're made of stars. Sing with me. Here today, gone tomorrow.
Whether we like it or not,
Times move fast, seasons change.
it doesn't seem to stop. Dancing in the wind with our eyes closed, enjoying the music that's being played. We move throughout the
I manifest dreams. I was born in the womb of those infinite waters. I look up at the sky. I see greatness. You take away the stars. Can you replace them? Don't destroy what you can't build. Most of us, we live to become ill. Will you wake up, smell the coffee? We got a lot of work to do. We all got the tools we need. Should we ever decide to heal our hearts and minds, to see what we are inside, you will always find
the star. Star. Star.
we all came here to experience whatever we need to. We're all on a different journey, a different path, but we all are together in this. So that's why we sing, and that's why we
Forever
move around
stars.
like stars in the
We come
universe.
and go.
We're just here for a short
Tomorrow's
moment. We are forever changing.
Forever
We don't die, we just multiply and we are invisible. At the same time, we can be seen. I'm just rambling again. I let the guitar play out on this one. Woo!
Greetings, wonderful, wonderful deep divers. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, deep divers. Shout out to everyone who's here. Shout out to all the deep divers in the house who are, breathe with me, deep divers. Woo! Breathing in that good ass prana, baby. Raising the frequency. Raising the vibration. Yeah, that's the song I made called Forever Stars, right? Forever Stars. Shout out to everyone who's here. Make sure you smash that like button, share the link. We got a whole lot to talk about. The hidden history of humanity. Ooh, we got a lot to talk about. Slave species of the gods. We got a lot to talk about. The Anunnaki gods. We got a lot to talk about. Okay. First and foremost, let me shout out to everyone who's here. Kimberly, Toko, you are appreciated. It is not what you go through, it is how you come through it. Much love to you, Ralph. Hey, Kimberly, you are appreciated. And that's what we got to start on, deep divers. You know, so much is happening right now. Before we even dive deep into the topic, Kimberly just came in with that message, the words of wisdom. It is not what you go through, it is how you come through it. Slow motion this side. That is so true. That is so true. It is not what you go through. It is how you come through it. Let's not forget that, deep divers, because so much is happening right now on the planet. So much is happening. I always say life is not something happening to you. Life is something responding to you. Shout out to Stella in the house. Shout out to Diving Bear in the house. Shout out to Me Movement in the house. That's what's up. Oh, yeah. Thank you, King. Much gratitude. You are appreciated. Shout out to Diving Bear in the house. You are appreciated. Oh, I'm reading every comment today. Oh, yeah, deep divers. Diving Bear, gratitude and love, Ralph, to you and all the deep divers. I am in the works on a song called Keep the Vibes High. We got to keep the vibes high, people. If you have a fresh second, check it out. A free second, check it out. And tell me what you think. Thanks for the inspiration. You are appreciated. So many wonderful deep divers. Shout out to Fantasy Flower Child in the house. Shout out to Kelly K. Shout out to Rosalind D. I see you. CK. Lady K's. Hazel. Healing Honey. I see all of you. Mecca Ann. You are appreciated. Wolfstar. Oh yeah, deep divers. K Crown. You are appreciated. Samantha. You are appreciated. Mac Dank. You are appreciated. Odin Performance. Shout out to you. Joe Horgan, you are appreciated. Oh my gosh, deep divers. So many amazing deep divers here. I'm just giving a shout out to everyone. If you made it here, deep divers, if you made it here, I want to say congratulations. You made it here, congratulations. Because we got a whole lot to talk about. Like, I don't know where to start. You know, I was thinking, like, I haven't done a video in a while about the real secret. Knowledge is power. The hidden history of humanity. I'm not wasting any time today. You're either here or you're not, because we're about to dive head first into the infinite waters, right? So I just put out that video on the Anunnaki gods. And right now, we got to remind ourselves that for you to understand the present, you must understand, overstand, and understand the past. You are appreciated. Thank you for that. For you to understand the present, you must understand, overstand, and understand the past. You see, a lot of people don't realize the whole of this planet is a mystery, right? The whole of this planet is a mystery. And when you realize that there is so much that you don't know about the hidden history of humanity, it will blow your mind. I've been researching this for a little while, right? For many years. And every day I get a new piece to the jigsaw. But it's endless. But I want to talk to you about the hidden history of humanity, the slave species of the gods. We're going to talk about the Sumerian texts, tablets, also the ancient Kemet or Egyptian gods and how they tie into everything that's happening right now. We got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, how you feeling today, deep divers? Smash that like button. Smash that like button, share the link. I'm happy to be back, deep divers. Oh, I took a little break off the live stream. I took a little break off the live stream, but I'm back. I'm back, right? I'm back. Ralph Smart is back. And this is a great topic because I want to hear from you. I want to know how you feel about this topic, because I know whenever I make a video, there's always someone out there who is a great deep diver, who has a lot of information I need to hear about. You've probably got a message for me about the hidden history of humanity, slave species of the gods. So how can we start this? We ain't even had breakfast yet. Can I get a hello? Shout out to everyone who's here. I'm giving thanks and appreciation to everyone that's here. David Tomes, thank you for that. Thank you, David. Study everything, but study yourself first. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mecca Ann, you are appreciated. Study everything, but study yourself first. That is key. Mecca Ann, you are appreciated. Infinite Waters, peace. Infinite Waters. Infinite Waters, diving deep once again. High vibes. High vibes. Gratitude, Ralph. One love, one heart. You are appreciated. We ain't even started yet, deep divers. I'm just giving thanks right about now. So, the hidden history of humanity, slave species of the gods, the Anunnaki gods, the astronaut gods of the Sumerians and Egyptians. So, let me start it like this. Everything that you think you know is up for questioning. There are things that you know you don't know. There are things that you know. There are things that you know you don't know, and there are things that you don't know you don't know. You know? And it has a lot to do with the history. Once again, you cannot understand the present without knowing about the past. And this is the reason why humanity is in limbo. A lot of people are lost because a lot of people don't really know the true history of humanity. So when I started to delve and dive deep into this whole topic, I came across a lot of fascinating research, but also from going within. You know, I've spent a lot of time in nature, connecting within, and you start to realize that, oh my gosh, humanity is under a mind spell right now. And this is the reason why a lot of people don't really know the true history of humanity, because for so long, humanity has been programmed through man-made religions, institutions, schools, indoctrination centers, and there's been a suppression of the knowledge. Just like all of these tech companies, Google, YouTube, all of them, Facebook, they're suppressing the knowledge because, once again, knowledge is power. They don't want you to find out who you really are, where you came from, the hidden history of the planet, because if you do, you now empower yourself. So I want to start it like this. When you take a look at the world around you, you begin to realize that it's a story. And like the Hopi said, the one who tells the story rules the world. Now, there's something called his story. History. his story. It's his story. Like Napoleon said, history is written by the winners. And that's why it's very difficult to find the true hidden history of humanity, because everything you read in the textbooks they're part of an agenda to suppress the real truth. So you're not going to find this information on Amazon. You're not going to find it in your local library. You got to find this information deep, deep underground. Right? So shout out to everyone who's here. You know, I spoke about the Anunnaki story. Free thinker, you are appreciated. I spoke about the Anunnaki story in that recent video. And for those that don't know, it's not just about the Anunnaki, but it's a good place to start. The Anunnaki were Sumerian deities. And when you realize that in 1929, a German archaeologist by the name of Julius Jordan discovered these tablets. And these Sumerian tablets, these vast clay tablets, were over 5,000 years old. And inside of them contained a story, the Anunnaki story, how long ago Earth was visited by extraterrestrials. And these Anunnaki god beings literally came down to Earth, and they saw that many human beings were still in the Homo erectus state, Homo habilis, you know, very primitive state, even even a very atavistic state. Neanderthals in caves, all kind of things. This was a time on the planet where human beings didn't know how to read. They didn't know how to write. They didn't know anything about mathematics, science, any of this stuff. So what the text talks about, the Anunnaki tablets, which was found by the German archaeologist in 1929, Julius Jordan, these 5,000-year-old clay tablets, they spoke of a story of how the Anunnaki came down to Earth to bring civilization to Sumer. And ancient Sumer, Mesopotamia, is modern day Iraq. You know, Iraq is one of the birthplaces of civilization. You also have ancient Egypt as well. But that region, modern day Iraq, ancient Sumer, is really where civilization came into fruition. And that's the exact place these tablets were found, the Sumerian texts. So what it talks about is how these beings, Anunnaki, and the god of gods, the father of all gods, Ki, the mother goddess, you had a whole pantheon. You had Enlil, you had Enki. They actually came down and civilized the humans who are around. And there are stories which say that they actually used human beings to mine gold, because the Anunnaki actually came from, where did they come from? Where did the Anunnaki come from? They came from planet Nibiru, right? They got on a spaceship and say, hey, we're coming to planet Earth right now. Planet X, and they needed gold. That's how the story goes. And once again, it's a story. You know, for you to really know the real truth, it's going to be hard. But what you have to remind yourself of is that there's truth in every single story. And this voyage to planet Earth was for a specific reason, to get gold. And they needed these humans who they were educating and turning into workers, turning into a slave species to mine gold. So they had to teach them certain things. And there was actually a great flood, just like in the Bible. In the Sumerian tablets, they talk about the great flood. And when we realize that it's not just in ancient Sumer you hear this story, but there is talk of beings all across the globe who were not human coming down to Earth from the heavens. And they were half man, half animal. You know, we sometimes think this is what an alien looks like, but this is the Hollywood version. But we just know that there were beings like this who came down to Earth, who were far, far more advanced than human beings at that time. And they actually gave human beings modern civilization. So when you realize you go to the Indus Valley, India, this is the Naga. Naga in the Sanskrit means serpent. So in every single culture, ancient culture, you have talk of these serpent beings. In ancient Kemet or Egypt, Ramses II, they always had the snake, which represents higher knowledge, the Kundalini energy rising. The caduceus, the two snakes going around the staff, is also representing knowledge. And he has a snake, a cobra, on the uraeus around his head. So you find this link everywhere you go about, even in ancient Egypt, they had pharaohs, they had kings, queens, but you see, the ancient aliens, Anunnaki, they selected these kings and queens to rule over the population. And the same thing is happening today. The royal families exist in many countries, and they will tell you they are direct descendants from the Anunnaki, from the snake people, from the serpent people. And that's why they marry amongst each other. They keep it in the bloodline because knowledge reigns supreme. Now, Zecharia Sitchin had a lot of great work, great books about this topic, the hidden history of humanity. Also, Eric von Daniken, the Chariot of the Gods, fantastic researcher, a lot of great information. Also, Michael Tellinger, the slave species of the gods, great information. Also, Ralph Smart, Feel Alive by Ralph Smart on Amazon. Go and check out that book, Deep Divers, immediately. And at ralphsmart.com/the-book. Make sure you smash the like button, Deep Divers. Smash the like button and give thanks. Smash the like button and give thanks. Share this link. Oh, I'm back, Deep Divers. So when we realize that these stories are not just stories, these are tied into what's happening right now. There's a great apocalyptic battle happening right now, and it's been happening. And it's got everything to do with the past, with the hidden history of humanity. There is a force on this planet that does not want to see you ascend to Christ consciousness, that does not want to see you living in the love frequency. These beings can only control you when you are in a state of fear, grief, apathy, and guilt. Those are the 4 emotions the inorganic ones use to control you. And I told you, if you don't realize that there are forces on this planet that do not like human beings, the reason why is because in their mind, they created you. And they created you for one reason, to be their slaves. And this is the reason why a lot of people say, gosh, how come people can't be free? And I told you, freedom comes at a cost. And the only way to be free is to really go within who you truly are. Oh, let's put the music on, deep divers. So you have to make sure every single day you are going within to free yourself, because there are forces that do not want to see you being free. And we got to remind ourselves every day that being free is our birthright. So the hidden history of humanity. Once again, if you do not understand what happened in the past, you will never understand what's happening right now. Oh, you like the music, deep divers in the background? Oh yeah, we got the whole setup going, right? If you do not understand the past and what happened, you will never understand the present. Why is the world like it is? It's not by accident. It's not a coincidence the world is like this. It is an immaculate design. And all of the ancient texts, the scriptures, the Vedas, they talk about beings who are not human coming down to earth. Even in the Bible, they talk of the Nephilim, giants walking the earth who bred with the daughters of God. We have to remind ourselves we're not the only ones in this Milky Way galaxy. We're not the only intelligent life form. And the more you dive deep into this topic, you realize that, I mean, I've actually been to see these tablets myself, you know, the Sumerian tablets, all the statues, and you realize that there was a time on the planet when it was so far different from how we're living right now, it's unbelievable. And there are levels to this. There's levels to this. And there's levels of consciousness. And the ones who rule over humanity are beings who know you better than you know yourself. And this is the reason why you have to make sure you're in the love frequency every single day. The hidden history of humanity. When we see everything that's happening right now on the planet, I want you to take a look at this film. If you get a chance, go and watch that film called They Live, right? They Live. And it actually shows you how billions of people are actually living on the planet. You think you're seeing a normal billboard, but if you put on the glasses, you see all of this subliminal information. Obey, buy, consume, conform, obey. This is all part of you realizing there has been a whole agenda, not just from now, but from the dawn of humanity, to make sure you never awaken to who you truly are. And this is the reason why those who are awake and aware now become the gods themselves. Slow motion this side. I said, this is the reason why those who are awake and aware now become the gods themselves. When you reach Christ consciousness, when you go within, you realize there's nothing to be afraid of. In fact, fear was the only weapon they had to use to control you. And when you vibrate in that love frequency more and more, you are now out of that grip of their dominion. Many people live on the conveyor belt lifestyle. I've spoken about it. You wake up, you might go to school, go to college, then it's work time, then little time for the family, then you die. This whole system is part of a grand design, but you see someone running there, and that's what you have to do. You have to get off the conveyor belt lifestyle. Because when we talk about the hidden history of humanity, we have to remind ourselves that make sure you smash the like button, deep divers, give thanks. I'm just happy to be back. You know, smash the like button, give thanks. You know, hit the tip page, hit the super chat, give thanks, share the link. Ralph Smart is back live streaming. Oh yeah, I just came out of the blue, deep divers. Just out of the blue. The hidden history of humanity. So if we ask ourselves, where did human beings come from? If we ask ourselves this question, where did human beings come from? What do you think, deep divers? Where do you think human beings came from? I've actually been to a lot of countries with a lot of rich history. I've been to Egypt, Kemet, been to Ethiopia. And scientists will tell you, you know, the first human beings came from Ethiopia. Lucy, your great, 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 great grandmother. And they kind of show Lucy as a kind of half ape, right? Kind of still in the primate phase of development. But when you dive deeper, that's not the whole story. That's the story they give you. But there's another story about the hidden history of humanity. You know, was it Damian Marley who said, they told you that you came from an ape, but why hasn't the ape evolved yet? What? Slow motion this side. And when you realize that there's so much more to the story than you're being told, everything takes on a new shape and form. When you realize that there's a hidden history of humanity, and a lot of the people who are running the world are well aware of it. Hidden history of humanity, lost kingdoms, Lemuria, Atlantis, kingdoms which once existed, which were forgotten in a blink of an eye, but they existed. And when you realize this, everything changes. Pangea, when you realize at one point the whole of the earth was connected together. That's why if you look at the map, it's like a jigsaw. All you got to do is put the countries together. Oh, we're diving deep, deep divers. We have different creators. We're not all the same. Oh, we're diving deep, deep divers. We're diving deep. So going back to slave species of the gods, I remember walking through central London when I used to live in London and seeing so many people in Oxford Street just rushing up and down. And it made me realize that many people are not really aware. Many people are merely existing. They're not living. Many people are merely existing. They're not living. Many people are merely existing. They're not living. And I said, why is this so? How come at the beach, when you go there, people are living free, in a good mood, but a lot of people can't enjoy the beach because they're trapped in the matrix? They got to put food on the table, right? You got to pay the bills, right? Then I realized, okay, we are the only species. We are the only species We are the only species that does what, deep divers? Smash that like button, share the link. Oh, we're diving deep. We are the only species that does what? I'm waiting to hear from you, deep divers. We are the only species that does what? Thank you. We are the only species that needs to pay to live here. What? Slow motion this side. Say it again, Ralph. We are the only species that has to pay to live here. Pardon? We are the only species that pays for freedom, that pays to live, that pays to stay in Earth, which is your birthplace. We're the only species that has to do that. And this is the reason why there's a hidden history of humanity. How did it become like this? Once again, if you do not know about your past, you will never understand your present. So we are the only species that has to pay to live. The only species that has to pay for its freedom. Yet we are supposed to be the most intelligent. So how did this all happen? How come we have to pay to live? Why do you think we got to pay to live, deep divers? How did it get to this stage? How did it get to this stage? How come there are these conditions for human beings? How come there are thousands of different languages? How did this all come into being? How come certain people live in a certain geographical area of the planet? How come you have different skin colors on the planet? You see, this is part of the hidden history of humanity that only those who are in the occult or those who are in the esoteric sciences know about. And these are the people who control everything. And this is why I tell you, knowledge is power. When you realize that going back to the gods of Egypt and the gods of Sumeria, the pharaohs, the kings, everyone, ladies, I know you want to be Cleopatra, right? When we look at even royal families all across the world, how did they get there? How did they get in that position of power? A lot of people don't ask these questions, but it's got everything to do with the hidden history of humanity. We haven't even started yet, deep divers. Make sure you smash that like button. And I want to hear from you. I want to read your comments. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. I want to read your comments. Sarah T. Okay, let me see what Sarah T is saying. You are appreciated, Sarah T. We didn't evolve from apes. We descended from God. We are God in human form. Remember that and be angelic and be the angelic you came here to be. You are all angels. Thank you, Sarah. What do you think about that, deep divers? Do you agree with her? Do you have another statement to make? I want to hear from you as well. I want to hear from you. Put it in the chat. Hit that super chat, hit that tip page, get those likes up, deep divers, smash that like button. I'm back on the live stream. Oh, we got a whole lot to talk about. We got a whole lot to talk about. So when you realize that we were told, Darwin will tell you, man evolved from apes. Delisa Diaz, you are appreciated. I appreciate that. Thank you. Right? So Darwin will tell you, man evolved from apes. Survival of the fittest. But when you dive deeper, you realize that something about that is not adding up. Like Damian Marley said, if we came from apes, how come the apes have not evolved to where we are right now? So many people, I remember deep divers listening to Carl Sagan. Have you heard of Carl Sagan? Have you heard of Carl Sagan? I was a big fan of Carl Sagan growing up. But one of the things he said really shook me to my core. What did he say, Ralph? Well, you see, Carl Sagan said, who was this cosmologist, but really a mastermind in terms of delving deep into the hidden secrets of humanity. He said that the nitrogen in your DNA, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your teeth, the carbon in your apple pies were all made from the interior of collapsing stars. You are stardust. Slow motion this side. Let me say it again. When I was young, I used to listen to Carl Sagan. Phenomenal mind. And he said this, which really stayed with me. He said, the nitrogen in your DNA, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your teeth, the carbon in your apple pies were all made in the interior of collapsing stars. You are literally stardust. And when he said that, I said, what the hell does he mean? Oh, you're telling me I'm made from that star stuff? Yes. And then everything changed for me. I started to realize that the history we've been told is not the be all and end all. The Dogons, a tribe in Mali, they were able to see Sirius B before modern day scientists. They could see stars far away without all of this modern technology, but they had something we don't have right now. So when you realize that even in South Africa, you have Adam's calendar, one of the oldest megalithic megalithic sites in the world. Michael Tellinger talks a lot about Adam's calendar. Hundreds of thousands of years old. And it only leads to an advanced race of beings being here before us to do that. When I went to ancient Egypt and saw the Great Pyramid of Giza, I said, this is impossible. 2.3 million blocks of stone. 2.3 million blocks of stone. And do you know the Japanese tried to create a pyramid like that? They couldn't do it. With all the technology we have right now, they cannot build those 3 Great Pyramids of Giza today. It's impossible. So we don't even realize how could they create something thousands of years ago that we can't create today. Slow motion this side. So when they tell you in the history books, if you go back to the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, even in antiquity, human beings were just evolving, but they weren't fully developed. They didn't have all of this technology. That came with the Renaissance. You know, when there was a lot of art in Europe, then you had a lot of kind of scientific discoveries at that similar point, the Renaissance period. But when you go back into history, you realize that actually, when you study ancient Sumer, the Sumerian tablets, when you go to ancient Kemet or Egypt, they had technology so far ahead of what we have right now. What we have right now is nothing more than child's play. And then the next question is, who were these people? How did they get this technology? How were they different from us? Smash that like button, deep divers. We're diving deep. Oh, we're diving too deep for you not to. Smash that like button, share the link. Oh, baby. Hit that super chat, hit that tip page, give thanks, deep divers. I'm back. The Atlanteans, the Lemurians, they had technology way more advanced than what we're using right now. And when you realize that it wasn't just the technology that allowed them to produce monuments like the Great Pyramid of Giza, but it was the consciousness they had. They had a whole different consciousness. They had a whole different consciousness. In ancient Egypt, when I went to see the pyramids with my sister many years ago, I asked the tour guide who was going around with us, how did they build it? He said, they're aliens. I said, what? He said, the ancient aliens built it. He said, we didn't build it. We're living in a Milky Way galaxy with billions, trillions of different organisms. Yet we are supposed to be the most intelligent? I don't think so. So when I started to dive deeper, I realized that many people have gone to Sumer, they've gone to ancient Egypt. You had likes of Edgar Cayce, the medium, who actually buried himself under the Great Pyramids. And he had these past life regressions that the pyramids are so much older than we've been told. John Anthony West, who passed away, but who was a great researcher on Egyptology and everything ancient. his discoveries were fascinating because he talked about how the Sphinx had weathering. You see, when you remind yourself that that region, ancient Egypt, that whole region, ancient Egypt, wasn't just a desert. In fact, it was a lush tropical rainforest at one point. And a lot of people don't know this. The Sahara Desert, 25,000 years ago, was full of vegetation, greenery. It looked totally different. And this is what a lot of people don't know about. How you doing today, deep divers? And when I realized that, it blew my mind away. Like, those pyramids are so old. They're so old that they have literally changed climates. They've gone from a lush rainforest to the desert. Do you know that when the pyramids were being built, there was no desert? It was just green. The desert actually preserved the pyramids. It's fascinating, right? So this is the history that a lot of people don't know about, the hidden history of humanity. We were told, for example, slaves built the pyramids. But they must have been some very clever slaves to do that. Let me give you an example. What's the largest building in the world? It's in Dubai, right? What's the name of it? What's the name of it? If you're creating a monument like that, if you have 10,000 people working on something, you need a lot of resources to feed these people. You need to make sure that they have somewhere to take a shower, to go to the toilet. The whole infrastructure is huge. You need transportation. How are you going to carry 2.3 million blocks of stone? Great Pyramid of Giza. How are you going to carry that without technology? So the hidden history of humanity, as we go back, we actually go back to the future. Slow motion this side. We realize that, for example, in ancient Egypt, when I went there, on the walls, you have flying objects, helicopters, planes. They had all of this technology. Even in the Vedas, they talk about all of this. So we've got to remind ourselves the hidden history of humanity is buried in every culture around the world. So like you had pyramids in Sumer, in Egypt, you also had pyramids in China, in Bosnia, all over Europe. You had monuments like Stonehenge. They don't know who built that. They don't know really when it was built. All they know is that it looks cool and people go and visit it. But you see, the hidden history of humanity is that the ancients were connected to the stars. They were connected to the heavens. They knew that as above, so below, as within, so without. They realized that, and this is the reason why many people think the ancient Egyptians were addicted to death, right? They were fascinated with death. No, they were fascinated with life. That's why the Ankh is a symbol of life, right? So you remind yourself that it's us, modern day humans, who have become disconnected. I told you. because there is a force on the planet that does not want you to wake up. There is a force on the planet that does not want you to wake up to who you really are, to the true history. And this is the reason why a lot of people don't realize that if you don't know your past, you can never be present or create your future. They live. You see, when you have that awakening, you put on those glasses, wait a minute, obey, conform, consume. You're living in a matrix, but you don't hear me though. And the hidden history of humanity is that there's been a force on this planet who've been here for a long time. You know, many people talk of secret societies. Do they exist? Of course they do. And they've existed from the beginning of time, because knowledge is power. And knowledge is not for everybody. Knowledge is not for everybody. Knowledge is not for everybody. It's only for the chosen ones. It's only for the chosen few. And this is the reason why some people are awake and aware of the hidden history of humanity. And those are the ones who are the chosen ones, who are coming back with the information that they're reincarnating again, that they're an old soul coming back for another time, and we are spiritual beings having a human experience. But there are also millions of people who are fast asleep. And the reason why is because not all humans are the same. Not all humans are the same. And what I mean by this is that each one of us has a different level of consciousness. And this has everything to do with the interference by the ancient aliens, genetically altering humanity's DNA. We hear about it in the Bible, the Nephilim, giants walking the earth who bred with the daughters of God. We hear it with the Anunnaki in ancient Sumeria. We hear it in ancient Egypt. We hear about these stories. And when you realize that it's not just a story, it's happening right now. Many people sometimes don't realize how certain people got into power. When you dive deeper, you realize, oh my gosh, it's because they said to themselves they are direct descendants from the gods. Smash that like button, deep divers. We're diving deep. Smash that like button. If you are excited Ralph Smart is back live streaming, smash that like button. Smash that like button, share the link, hit that super chat, hit that tip page, give thanks, deep divers. Like I always say, I'm happy to be here. Are you happy to see me? So, Pharaoh, let my people go, right? In ancient Egypt, you had pharaohs. In ancient Egypt, you had pharaohs. Okay, you had pharaohs in ancient Egypt. And the pharaohs were given dominion over a vast population. But you see, the pharaoh was not the supreme being in control. They were chosen. Kings and queens were never the authority. They had to answer to the priesthood. Until this day, the same thing happens. it's not the kings and queens who are in control. It has always been the priesthood. In other words, those with occult knowledge and information. The Vatican have a library that you can't even go into. It's not open to the public. And they've got thousands of books inside it with secret knowledge. And you got to remind yourself, the Library of Alexandria in ancient Egypt, I actually went there to that region. They tell you it was burnt down. In fact, it wasn't burnt down. They just took the books and then burnt the building, burnt down the place. But they're not stupid. They took the manuscripts, the sacred knowledge, and this is how they created civilizations in Europe and all kinds of things. And they kept it hidden from you. So if you look at a house, a normal house, if you're in California, if you're in Italy, if you're in Germany, look at a house, right? And all of the houses have a certain design. And the house was built by a mason, because that's what a mason does. They build stuff. But that's a whole science of how to build things. You're now delving into mathematics, science, hidden knowledge. But once you have that formula, you can build as many houses as you want. It's easy. And this is the reason why sometimes you're walking around, they're constructing something, and then a few months later, it's already built. And you're like, how did they build that, right? And it's all part of sacred geometry. It's a whole science to it. So in ancient times, when they were building these monuments, these buildings, not everyone could do it. Not everyone can do it. Only the pharaohs who were chosen by the priesthood to rule over the people were given information on how it's done. But the rest of the people didn't know how to do it. And this is the reason why the pharaohs ruled over other people, because they had a connection to the gods. They had a connection to the wisdom. They had a connection to the knowledge. And till this day, a lot of people feel that there is no conspiracy. A lot of people feel that what you see is what you get. But when you realize that you are practically blind in the universe, you are seeing less than 0.035% of the electromagnetic spectrum, which is visible light. You're practically blind in the universe. But you think you know it all. A wise man once said, nothing, deep divers, for a reason. So the hidden history of the world is that there have been, and when you look into every indigenous culture, even the Aborigines in Australia, they talk of sky beings, serpent beings coming down to earth and giving humanity a civilization. And these serpent beings, Anunnaki, they were mythologized as gods. Until this day, they still are. And they're still here. Now, people like David Icke might call them reptilians. People say, Ralph, do you believe in reptilians? I already tell you, you're a reptile yourself and you don't even know it. Pardon? You're a reptilian and you don't even know it. Because you've got a reptile brain right here. Each and every human being is a reptile. You got a reptilian brain. You evolved first as a reptile. That's the reason why human beings are still in their lower nature. because you still have an ancient memory of just being a reptile. Your reptilian brain only does 4 things. The lizard brain: feed, flee, fornicate, fight. That's it. The 4 F's. Feed, flee, fornicate, and fight. So till this day, World Star, what happens? People love to see fights, right? That's the reptilian brainstem. I just want to eat right now. Reptilian brainstem. I just want to fornicate. Reptilian brainstem. I'm scared right now. You want to flee? Reptilian brainstem. So when the neocortex started to develop, when the mammalian brain actually started to develop, human beings became more enlightened. And then the neocortex gave human beings a bit more awareness. At the same time, you're still controlled by the reptilian brain. And this is the reason why nothing is more important right now than really realizing you have to ascend. You have to raise the frequency. You have to move into your higher nature, because they created you to live in your lower nature. But when you can ascend to your higher nature, you enter Christ consciousness. That's what Christ consciousness is all about. When they say Jesus died at age 33, they're not talking that he died a physical death. They're saying that he rose in consciousness to say, oh, I get it. They're talking about the Kundalini energy. That's why I told you the number 33 is the master number, the number of the master teacher. 33 degree Mason for a reason, because the 33 is the knowledge. 33 Club. Do you think Walt Disney is stupid? Was stupid? No. He was into the occult. He knew about the 33. That's why Walt Disney, 33 Club. And that's why in those early Disney films, they put a whole lot of esoteric information. They put a whole lot of esoteric information. They put things in those films that it went over most people's heads, because that's what happens when you're into the occult and the esoteric sciences. You put subliminal information in everything you do. That's what the artist does. So in those early Walt Disney films, there was always a lot of sexual innuendo. A lot of people don't realize that. Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, they were saying one thing, but the symbolism was telling a whole nother story. Right? The symbolism was saying a whole nother story. And that's why I was telling you knowledge always reigns supreme. Because a lot of people don't realize that even Hollywood, we're talking about it going back to the ancient Druids, the holy wand. They use the wand to cast spells. And that's the same thing that's been happening. Hollywood invest millions of dollars in the illusion, because they want the illusion to become the reality, and it has for so many people. So the hidden history of humanity is that we're living in a world full of lies. Everything you've been told about the world is wrong. Now, if you remind yourself that even the picture of the earth that you see, the round globe, that has been photoshopped. That's not what Earth looks like. Because NASA means never a straight answer. So when you remind yourself that even the picture you've seen of planet Earth is part of a program, Now, is the earth flat? You have no idea either. This is why I'm trying to tell you. Many people will say, well, you know, in a lot of ancient cultures, it was flat, right? But once again, these are questions to question. Always keep an open mind, because I'm not a flat earther. At the same time, take a listen to what they have to say. It's very interesting. Very interesting. But you see, part of the deception on the planet is to make it that you never question anything. Oh, I saw it on the news. It must be true. But you don't realize that there's a whole hidden history. James Cameron, who created the Avatar, is trying to show you a bit of the hidden history of humanity. And in the film The Avatar, they talk about how you're living through an avatar. This body is nothing more than an avatar, and is being controlled from another dimension. When you go to sleep, you're actually waking up to the real world. When you wake up, you're going back to sleep. So this body is nothing more than a multi-dimensional avatar. Also, in the Avatar, they talk about how once upon a time, human beings lived in harmony with Mother Nature. We lived in communion with Mother Nature. But once again, there was an interference. And slowly, humanity became disconnected. And this story is even in the Garden of Eden. You hear these stories all around the world. That once upon a time, humanity was very connected. Then somehow, some way, they lost touch with themselves. And that's where we are right now. TikTok generation. And that's the reason why, with the hidden history of the world, you have to remind yourself that it's got everything to do with what came before us. If you do not understand the past, you can never understand, understand, or overstand the present. The past is still controlling the present. The Sumerian texts talk of it. The slave species the Anunnaki created to mine gold. Humanity is still slaves, still being controlled by inorganic forces. And it's up to you to wake up, to be free. It's up to you to realize it's not just a story. It's not just a conspiracy. It's actually happening. It's up to you to wake up and go within so you can see the truth for yourself. I can only show you the door, Neo, but you have to open it. Smash that like button, deep divers, share the link. Smash that like button, share the link, hit that super chat, hit that tip page, give thanks. So when we talk of the hidden history of the world, of the planet, I started to realize that, have you noticed, deep divers, that there was a time, probably around the 80s, when all of the music was just, it was just empowering, right? It was just empowering. Just the sound of the 80s was empowering. It was inspiring, right? I love 80s songs, like 80s music, because it really had a freedom, it had a feel to it, had a vibe to it. I was watching, was it 1982 awards? Michael Jackson won every single award in the American Music Awards. And guess who he was competing with? Prince and other superstars. Everyone in that group was a superstar. Can you imagine that, deep divers? Like, you got Michael Jackson, Prince, you know, like the talent level was crazy. But when you remind yourself, you know, in the 70s, 80s, the music was pure, it was real, it had a message. And the message was waking people up, it was connecting people. Go and listen to the Earth song by Michael Jackson in the 90s as well. But once we hit 2000 and beyond, the frequency shifted. And it wasn't about the music anymore. It was about dumbing as many people down as possible. And this goes back to the hidden history of humanity. Because we passed that golden age. You know, the 80s was the golden age of music. You know, we're no longer in the golden age. It can return. But you have to remind yourself, even in the 60s, 70s, you had Earth, Wind and Fire. Go and listen to Earth, Wind and Fire. Earth, Wind and Fire. Every song was designed to help you raise your frequency and vibration. Just the name alone says a whole lot. Earth, Wind and Fire. They're talking about the elements. So the consciousness goes through cycles. And right now on the planet, it's at a very low level. And this is part of us moving into the age of Aquarius. The irony of it is that actually this is the time for awakening. So much so that they cannot even allow positive music in the mainstream. Because if you hear a positive song, if billions of people hear it, the whole reality will change in a few seconds. That's why there's so much nonsense on the internet. Keep you distracted and entertained. Oh, we got a lot to talk about, deep divers. I'm just warming up. Smash that like button, give thanks. Nicholas K, you are appreciated. Coming in on the 1212. Hit that super chat, deep divers. Hit that snap. I was about to say hit that Snapchat. Hit that super chat. Hit that tip page. Smash that like button. Share the video. Nicholas K, we must come together and be free. We must come together and be the free spirits that we are. Stop funding celebs and athletes that do nothing for us. What? Slow motion this side. We don't change the old by fighting the old. We change the old by creating the new. Ooh. Ooh. I like that. Let me read it one more time, deep divers. That's a slow motion moment. We must come together and be the free spirits that we are. Stop funding celebs and athletes that do nothing for us. We don't change the old by fighting the old. We change the old by creating the new. Woo. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Can I drop like a bomb on that, a love bomb on that? Can I do that, Nicholas? Can I do that? Can we get a bomb somewhere? Let me see. Let me see. That's a love bomb right there. Absolutely. We must come together and be the free spirits that we are. Stop funding celebs and athletes that do nothing for us. We don't change the old by fighting the old. We change the old by creating the new. Hey, deep divers, you remind yourself that a lot of us, we worship these celebrities. And this is part of the hidden history of humanity. The celebrities are the modern day pharaohs, are the modern day Anunnakis, kings and queens. And you must not allow yourself to give them your energy. Focus on yourself. You are the real star. You are the true celebrity because you are the Stardust. You are the real celebrity. You've been under a deep sleep. These celebrities don't do anything for you. They are there to hide the truth from you. That's why they can't talk truth to power. Because they don't want to awaken you. They want to keep you in the dream spell. They want to keep you fast asleep. So that's the reason why when I stopped worshiping celebrities, everything changed for the better for me. Free Soul Flynn, you are appreciated. 360-degree senses, the empowered human. Woo! That's what it's about. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Absolutely. So you are the real celebrity. Stop worshiping celebrities who don't do anything for you. They're not helping to wake you up. They're not telling you how to get out of the matrix. Yet people praise these people. That's part of the great deception. You praise people who do nothing for you. That's the reason why you're enslaved. What? Slow motion this side. Knowledge is power, deep divers. The hidden history of humanity. How's everybody feeling today, deep divers? How's your day been? Talk to me. What do you think about this topic? What do you think about the hidden history of humanity? And are human beings a slave species of the gods? Or are we the gods in amnesia? That's the question. Ooh, diving deep right now. Cloudy, you are appreciated. Thank you so much for sharing all your divine knowledge. Thank you for waking me up. You are appreciated. You are appreciated. So when you realize that from the beginning of time, human beings have been controlled in terms of what they think and how they perceive reality. In the Sumerian text, they talked about the Anunnaki, who came down from the heavens, and they gave people everything, taught them how to read and write. In the Sumerian tablets, they talk about it right here. Discovered by Julius Jordan in 1929, the German archaeologist. Over 5,000 years old. And this is the reason why there's still human slaves around. Because this is how you've been engineered by ancient aliens. Once again, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. In Sumeria, this is the Anunnaki. This is Hollywood, the aliens, E.T. This is the Naga in the Indus Valley. They always got the serpent. And Naga means serpent in Sanskrit. Serpent beings coming down. Go and read the Vedas. Go and read the Vedas. Ancient Kemet, emerald tablets. They talk about it. They talk about only the pharaoh can rule over people because he is the direct descendant of the god, of the gods, right? And every other human is below him. And they are from a certain bloodline. So Zachariah Sitchin, phenomenal researcher on this topic. The Hidden History of Humanity, also Eric von Daniken. So once again, we are in a matrix. And if you don't know about the past, you will never know about the present. It will always be confusing to say, why is the world like this? Why is Russia and Ukraine happening? It's been happening, deep divers. The world has been at war for a long time. You better wake up. There's a war for the hearts and minds of the people. There's a war for your soul. And it's been happening. And this is the reason why you have to make sure every day you're going on the journey within, taking time with yourself to be out of this circus show. I told you, the whole of this system is a setup. From the moment you're born, it's a whole big illusion. And it's designed to make sure you don't wake up. Look at that picture closely. What's going on here? Oh yeah, the guy is running away. He's getting off that conveyor belt system. He's the free one. He's Neo. All the other people are going along with it. That's part of the trick. And that's why the only way to free yourself is to realize that you have to get off the conveyor belt. Slow motion. Miriam, for breakfast, you are appreciated. I need some breakfast right now. We ain't even had breakfast yet, deep divers. So Elon Musk, who just bought Twitter, you have to listen to some of the things he says. You know, being the richest man in the Matrix, he talks about how you're already a cyborg. Now, this is the creator of Tesla. You should pay attention when he said you're already a cyborg. You should pay attention when he says you're living in a simulation. This is what they all know. The movers and the shakers, they know that it's a simulation. And that means if this is a simulation, when you look at the work of the theoretical physicist, Professor James Gates, who talked about the Adinkras, that the whole universe is like a web browser. Professor James Gates, the theoretical physicist. The whole universe is like a web browser. He looked at the universe, this genius, and he started to see computer code. Just like in a web browser, zeros and ones, that's the matrix. In other words, this reality, this construct could be someone else's virtual video game. But you don't hear me though. Have you ever played SimCity, deep divers? We create the whole civilization from scratch. But how do you know that someone else has not done this to you? And this is the reason why the gift of being human is free will. You see, human beings are half divine, half savage. They have half divinity and half savagery. And this is the reason why it's a choice that you have. You can be a god, a goddess, or you can be a reptilian savage, a lizard, a reptile. You can be in the heavens, or you can be in the sunken place. And it's a choice. And this is the hidden history of the planet. You see, human beings are very special because when you do the research and the knowledge, you realize that human beings have been tampered with. There are different DNAs, different blood types. Oh, all kind of blood types. Not every human being is the same. And everyone has a different genetic code. When you realize this, everything changes simply because you can become you can become godlike. You can become the immortal. And many people, when you go to India, Africa, China, up in the mountains, many people have dedicated their whole life to really pushing the boundaries of what it means to be human. That film, Deep Divers, Lucy, was trying to show you that you can become limitless. You can become limitless. It's just that you have not tapped into the junk DNA. So like Greg Braden talks about, we are the divine programmers, right? We are the divine programmers in the divine matrix, and your belief can change everything. This is the reason why you always want to become mindful of what you're thinking. If you say you can't do something, you can't do it. You have to start saying, I can do it, then you can do it. A lot of what people have been consuming in the matrix, whether it's through organized religion or whatever, school, education, is always about suppressing your greatness. It's about stopping you from growing more. And this is the reason why you have to start deleting those programs, tapping into that junk DNA. Because when a human does that, they now become a god. And this is the hidden history of humanity. This is the reason why the inorganic ones always got to distract you. TikTok, this, that. They've got to make sure the frequency is low, because the lower the frequency, the harder it is for you to ascend to the God state. The same people who give you these social media sites, Facebook, they don't even let their children use it themselves. Steve Jobs didn't let his own children use the iPhone for a reason. Because once again, it's all a distraction. Can you imagine, deep divers, if you woke up and you were just in a state of harmony every day from the moment you were born? You would be like that boy in the Matrix. You would be bending spoons. You would be bending spoons. And this is the reason why every now and again you see a glitch in the matrix. You see a human being who can do superhuman things. You see a human being who can do superhuman things, whether it's a contortionist, a violinist. You're like, oh my gosh, that is like not human. No, it's not. They've gone to another place. They've gone to another place. And in ancient Greece, they talked about the Titans. They talked about all of these beings who were more than human. And to get to that state, you need to lose the crowd. You need to stop distracting yourself out here in the matrix, because it's all a setup. We can levitate. I agree. We can do all kinds of things. But the thing is, it's about time. You see, when we talk about the hidden history of humanity and the slave species of the gods, ? How could they turn human beings into slaves? Once again, we are the only species that has to pay to live here. Pardon? We are the only species that has to pay to live here. That should send chills up your spine to show you you've been played. All of this is supposed to be free. You're supposed to be living free. You shouldn't have to pay rent. It should be free. But you got to remind yourself, you're dealing with people who have been manipulating you for thousands of years, who have turned your reality to make you believe that this is the only way. Deep divers, smash that like button, share the link. Smash that like button, share the link. They've turned your reality upside down to make it believe like this is the only way. Venus Project. Have you heard of the Venus Project? Jack Fresco, who was talking about the resource-based economy. Fascinating stuff. Do you know, deep divers, that the whole population can fit inside of Texas? 7.9 billion people. You've been told that there's not enough space. No, there's always enough space, deep divers. You've been told that there's too many humans on the planet. That's another illusion. This planet is so big. It's just that everyone is cramped in the same space. There are places on this planet which human beings don't even go to. And this is the hidden history of humanity. There are tribes living who have no connection with modern day humans. So when you remind yourself that everything you know or think you know is up for questioning, you ask yourself, can you handle the truth? Jack Nicholson told you. You want the truth, you can't handle the truth. Most people are living life in a daze. They got no clue about what's really going on. All they want to do is watch Netflix and chill. While you're watching the movie, they're creating one for you. And it's called The Matrix. The hidden history of humanity. So we got to remind ourselves right now that there are forces. There have been forces who do not want to see you evolve. And this is the reason why you have to make sure you are spending as much time as possible with yourself, going within, freeing yourself every day, putting yourself into that love frequency, reminding yourself eating to live is the way forward. 7-day vegan challenge. I'm not a food purist, but I do know that changing my diet has changed my life. I do know that this is what the earth should be like. You see this place here, deep divers? Doesn't it make you feel good looking at it? See, a lot of people in this world don't even get to experience this. They don't know what it means to be by a palm tree, to see turquoise seas, chill on the beach. And this is the reason why you have to make sure you get out of that concrete jungle, to say, actually, wait a minute, let me realize that there's more to life, that there's another way of living. Let me see a rainbow. Somewhere over the rainbow, deep divers. You heard that song? You heard that song? Somewhere over the rainbow. But we got to remind ourselves, somewhere over the rainbow, it's a lot better. It's a lot better somewhere over the rainbow. If you think this is all there is, you better start thinking again, because you've been sold a big lie that this is all there is. I remember being in Dahab, which is near Sharm el Sheikh, the Red Sea. When I was there, I was greeted by a guy from England who took me to where he was staying, and he was staying in a commune with another guy from Russia, some other people from Germany, people from Spain, people from South Africa. They were all coming together, living in that space. And I'm like, this is amazing. And it was wonderful to see people living off the grid, living in harmony with nature. And I'm like, okay, that's amazing. But a lot of people don't experience that. The hidden history of humanity, deep divers, the hidden history of humanity. So a slave species, when you realize that how this whole thing was set up is knowledge, the ones that rule can only rule you with information. The ones that rule you can only rule you with information. It's a game of information. It's a war of information. And this is the reason why they don't want people knowing everything. Once again, it's the reason why information is censored. Why would they censor information? Because it's powerful. A book with the right information can change your life forever. So the hidden history of humanity is not going to be in books or your local library or your local newspaper. That's way too dangerous. It's buried. And if you don't have all the money to spend on those books, there is another way. Where can we find that book, Deep Divers? Where can we find that book? Where can we find that book? Pirate Bay. My heart, thank you. Inside of us is where we're going to find the Emerald Tablets. Inside of us is where we're going to find the Dead Sea Scrolls. Inside of you contains all the information. I actually say you contain the Akashic Records. What's the Akashic Records, Ralph? The Akashic Records is a history of everything that's ever been done on this planet. It lies inside of your DNA. And this is the reason why it's so important for you to realize you don't even need to buy books. All you need to do is go on the journey within, go within, and you're going to start to see and find the answers you've been looking for. You're going to start to uncover the hidden history of humanity. And this is the reason why a lot of people who are meditating, who are really going on the journey within, these people are really having a whole different outlook. These people are really not only having a whole different outlook, but these people are disconnecting from the matrix because they know it's a trap. And the hidden history of humanity is all about you realizing, yes, humanity has been engineered to be a slave species. Slavery still exists, it's just changed form. What is examples of modern day slavery, Deep Divers? Smash that like button, Deep Divers, share the link. Oh, I'm back, Deep Divers. How are you enjoying the live, right? We've got the whole setup going. What is an example of modern day slavery? Your job, your work, what else? School system, hive mind, court, the whole system is a big trap. And when you realize this, you realize that I get it. It's a big trap. It's a big, big trap. Religion, technology, minimum wage, government, depression, welfare, the whole damn system. Yes. And this is why you have to realize that this system, which is in operation, wasn't created by fools. It was created by extremely intelligent people. Yes, Deep Divers. You should really pay them more respect because they pulled it off. And when you realize that for you to control someone, for you to manipulate someone, you need to have more information than they do. And the hidden history of humanity is that there have been beings with more information than most people. And it's been happening not just today or last year, it's been happening from the dawn of the conception of humanity, the dawn of time. Humanity has been a slave species. And this is the reason why the only way out of this is you going within and you studying history to realize that everything happening back then is happening now, but in a different way. When you put on those glasses, deep divers, start to take a look around and you'll start to see it's all a big joke. A ridiculous cheap set B movie. A big circus show. And this is how you start to wake up. And this is how you start to get your power back and become the god and goddess and become the god and goddess that you are. But it's not going to be easy to get to that level because there are going to be a lot of distractions in the way. They pray that you never wake up to who you really are. The reason why is because these ancient aliens, they created you to control you. And that was it. Some of them mix their DNA with yours. And as well, some of you are the ancient aliens I'm talking about. Oh my gosh. There are X-Men amongst us. There are real X-Men amongst us. There are real superheroes walking on this planet. There are people on this planet who can do phenomenal things. They can hold their breath underwater for an hour. There are people who can submerge themselves in freezing cold water for hours. There are people who can walk on hot fire. There are people who can exercise the gifts of telepathy, telekinesis. There are people who know what's going to happen before it happens. There are people with real superpowers, and they are amongst us right now. And you might be one of these people. And that shows you that you have activated a greater part of who you really are. But there are also many people who are fast asleep. We all know them too well. It could be you. And you've got to remind yourself that there are levels to this. Just like there are chapters in a book, there are levels to this shit. And as you evolve in consciousness, you reach another level. You realize that it's all a big scam. Everyone just went along with it. Once again, if you see that guy, he's running, he knows it's a trap. Because your whole entire life has been programmed. School, work, you might have a family, then death, that's it. But the guy who's running is actually saying, wait a minute, let me question what's going on. Where did we come from? What's really going on? He's the smart one. He's Neo in the Matrix, waking up. So when you remind yourself, it's all about the knowledge. And if you have the knowledge, you're no longer a slave. If you have the freedom, you're no longer a slave. If you have the inner connection, you're free. And this is the reason why it's a choice. To, once you know the hidden history, to now create the future as you see fit. Create the future as you see fit. When you realize life is like a video game, you can choose to become player one. You can choose to be the wealthiest woman or man alive. It's all a mindset. And when you realize fear, that 4-letter word, is what keeps you mortal, everything changes. When you lose fear, you become immortal. When you lose fear, you become immortal. People say, gosh, like, you know, in 2020, I was really going hard with the COVID stuff, right? People were like, protect Ralph at all costs. I said, hey, don't you know who I am? The universe has already got my back. I was sent here to do this. This is what I love to do. Because I already see how my life is going to go. It's only going to get better. More abundance, 7-day vegan challenge, whole bunch of grapes in my mouth, more love, connection, unity. It's going to be amazing. It's already amazing. Don't worry about me. I'm worried about you. I'm divinely protected. You don't get to be here this long, this strong without assistance from unseen realms, deep divers, if you know what I'm talking about. So when you realize that when you lose fear, you become immortal. When you have fear, you remain a mere mortal. And this is why I say there's nothing to be afraid of. Nobody is out to get you. Reality is what you are creating in your mind. It's not that serious. It's just a ride, deep divers. Reality is nothing more than what you are creating in your mind. So do you. You don't have to worry about what people think. Love protects us all. And this is the reason why when you realize this, all of the people who have been fearless, they ascend to the God level. When you see people doing phenomenal acts with their body, they're fearless. We say, oh my gosh. When we see people who are afraid and weak, their energy becomes toxic. Because fear is the lowest frequency. And right now, let love guide you, not fear. The hidden history of humanity is that, yes, many human beings have been engineered to be a slave species, but you can get off the conveyor belt. You can run away from what they had planned for you and become a god, a goddess. Remind yourself that the world around you, the system, is extremely sophisticated, designed to control you and make sure you don't outgrow it. But when you outgrow the system, you realize it's basic. And in essence, you are sophisticated. So everything, part of the hidden history, is to make sure human beings don't question their reality, distract them, TikTok dances, all of these things. Little do you know that you're in a prison. You're just a happy slave. But if you want to stop being a slave, you better wake up, smell the coffee. Because the inorganic ones never take a day off. They're here to collect souls. And they're succeeding. Stanley Kubrick tried to tell you about them. But a lot of people will never get to see it fully. Because he made the film Eyes Wide Shut. Nicole Kidman, Tom Cruise, showing you about a part of that society. But even that film, they had to edit over 3 hours of it. They gave you the watered down version. But it was just trying to show you that there's so much you don't know about how the world really works. There's a battle for the hearts and minds of the people. The Anunnaki were doing it. The Nagas were doing it. It was about the Lord of the Ring. The Lord of the Rings was about that. Frodo. J.R. Tolkien, who wrote the book, said, this book is not about what people think it is. The Lord of the Rings was about the Lord of the universe. Who has the power? Who has the ring has the power. Who has the ring has the crown, has the throne. That's why whoever got the ring, put your hand up, get the ring, it goes into your finger. All of a sudden, you have the safety, you have the power. In other words, when you are on the throne of your divine consciousness and glory, you are now immortal. Whoever had that ring became immortal. The same thing is happening. Deep divers, we're diving too deep right now. It's too deep for... Smash that like button, deep divers, share the link. Smash that like button, share the link. Smash that like button, share the link. I told you we had a whole lot to talk about. We had a whole lot to talk about. The hidden history of humanity. So, when you remind yourself, serpent beings have been around for a long, long time. In fact, it was the serpent who was blamed for tempting Eve in the Garden of Eden. And serpents have been known to be associated with the Kundalini energy. Serpents are wise. And that's why Ramses II has a serpent around the Uraeus to show that he has the knowledge, the power. He has the authority to rule over kingdoms. Pharaohs didn't vanish. They're still here. And the pharaohs were not really the authority. The pharaohs got chosen by the priesthood. These are people you don't see. And the priesthood still exists all around the world. And they control humanity. And it's all about bloodlines. So when you remind yourself that you want to empower yourself as much as possible, because it's all done by design, to make sure you never find out about this information. Because if they truly cared, they would have information like this in every school. But ain't nobody got time for that. We ain't got time to empower human beings like that. So, you know, deep divers, so much to talk about. But remind yourself, if you don't know about your past, you can never know about the present. You can never know and understand, understand or overstand the present if you don't know about the past. If you don't realize about the occult, esoteric sciences, this is what runs the world. Knowledge. You know, Squid Games was telling you about something. They started off playing toy games, which ended up serious. People got killed, lost their lives. Same thing is happening. All of this started out as a joke. We're just playing games every day. Even your work is a game when you go to work. But then it can turn deadly because it now has a real consequence, just like the Squid Games. And so many people, they're there trying to win that 44 million. But when they get it, it doesn't even matter. Because I told you, it's all an illusion. And this is the reason why they need you chasing something. Always going outside of who you really are. And this is the reason why the moment that you wake up, that's the moment the spell gets broken. The moment you wake up is the moment the spell gets broken. The hidden history of humanity is, from the conception of humanity, people used to worship idols. They used to worship outside of themselves. And I told you, these modern day celebrities are your new idols. And this is the reason why the message has been lost. Because you're worshiping false idols. They don't give you anything. That's why you love them. And that was all part of the design from the ancient aliens. You're gonna love someone who doesn't give you anything. You're gonna love someone who keeps you ignorant, who dumbs you down. And millions of people do. But the moment you wake up, you no longer worship these people, because you know these people are distractions. They're also a part of making sure that you never wake up. Angela, you are appreciated. Shout out to all of you. Oh, deep divers, you know, like I say, I think I'm on one right now. But so much to dive into with this topic. So much. Many people don't realize, like I say, it's not cool to be ignorant. But they told you it was. And all the people who tell you ignorance is bliss are the same people studying every single day, studying the Kabbalah, the Torah, the Bible, all of these esoteric books, going within. But they'll tell you ignorance is bliss. Stay on TikTok, stay watching World Star videos. Ignorance is bliss. And that's why you're in the same position, still stuck. Expensive pain, baby. Ignorance is expensive pain. How many times has it cost you because of your own ignorance? And this is the reason why they hope and pray that you stay ignorant. They hope. But like I say, the moment you start to wake up, say, I don't want to be ignorant anymore, educate yourself, it's over. Game over. Bye. You're out of there. You've moved out of the sunken place. You've moved out of the sunken place. You know, that film was telling you something. Jordan Peele, who had that film Get Out, he was telling you a message to say, hey, when the guy was in the chair with his girlfriend's mother, she was like, sink, he went into the sunken place. That's what a lot of people are. A tear rolled down his cheek. That's what happens in the sunken place. And that's why you have to get out. That's what the whole game is about, getting out. Because there are beings who want to keep you in, who want to keep you trapped in because they don't want to lose their power. And they've been ruling over you for thousands of years. They've just changed faces. So, remind yourself, the rabbit hole goes as deep as you want. I'm still learning. I'm still diving deep. And the more I know, the more I realize how much I don't know. But at least I'm aware of it. There are people who say, I don't need to hear that nonsense. Let me turn on CNN. Little do they know, they're slaves. So this is the reason why the hidden history of humanity is so important, because it's controlling everything that is happening right now. Russia and Ukraine, all of these things are happening. It's going back a long, long time. The way the world is set up didn't just happen 20 years ago, 100 years ago. It's been happening for thousands of years. And you have to make sure you're aware, going within, read the greatest book alive, which is inside of yourself, and you'll start to find the answers. Being free is your birthright. The hidden history of humanity. Once upon a time, human beings got along together. There was no concept of race, religion, nationality. But they realized we can't control human beings who are unified. We need to separate them. And that's where the story of the Tower of Babel comes from. When these human beings wanted to reach the heavens, wanted to reach God, they were ascending, evolving so quickly. And the story goes that God destroyed the tower and made them speak all different languages so they could no longer get on together. It's a story, but it holds deep symbolism that's what's been keeping humanity hostage. Your religion, race, nationality. Don't you see the people who created that for you all work together? They don't have any of that stuff. They don't have any of that stuff. And that's part of the hidden history. They need you to be separate from each other. Different skin color, this, that, all of these are the illusions. It's called the human race for a reason. There's only one human race. When you remind yourself to be humane, that's a slow motion right there. And that's why when I realized that, because I at first, I call myself Kemet Prince, right? I'm the Kemet Prince. And sometimes you feel superior than other people, but then you realize, wait a minute, everybody bleeds red. I've met people from all over the earth who are different skin colors and who have the knowledge, because underneath it's the energy that matters. So don't get caught up in the labels, the skin color, the nationality, where you're from. All of that is part of the trick. Oh, deep divers, we're diving deep. Unity, one humanity over everything. Deep divers, you know, I'm sending you all so much good energy. The music right now is putting us in some kind of nice frequency, right? Beautiful frequency. Smash that like button, deep divers, share the link. Smash that like button, share the link. Go and check out Feel Alive by Ralph Smart on Amazon and at ralphsmart.com/the book for more empowering information. Check out the Good Ass Prana shirts, ralphsmart.com/clothes. Also add me on Instagram at ralphsmart. And deep divers, you know, we had fun. We had fun. You know, I want to say you are all appreciated. I'm trying to keep it 2 hours and under. 2 hours and under, deep divers, you know, just to keep it fresh and popping. A lot was talked about. Go and listen to this. If you just joined, go and listen to this live stream from start to finish. But I want to say thank you to everyone who joined. Powerful show, powerful show. And, you know, there is a hidden history of humanity. And don't believe anything that you see and only half of what you hear. You'll be all right. So many amazing deep divers here. You know, I'm grateful every day. Every day. Let me say thank you to Peace Piper. Peace Piper, you are appreciated. Thank you. You are appreciated. You are appreciated. Peace Piper. And, you know, these are great times we're living in. Great times. Stay awake. Stay empowered. Let love guide you, not fear. And remind yourself, somewhere over the rainbow lies your freedom. Somewhere over the rainbow lies your freedom. I love all of you deep divers. You are appreciated. And, you know, I had fun. I had fun, deep. You have fun, deep divers? Oh, we had fun right now. We had fun. We had fun, deep divers. And I want to know from you, because I know a lot of you have information for me about the hidden history of humanity. I would love to hear from you more, because each and every one of us has different information. And if we can come together, we can put all the pieces to the jigsaw of what's really going on. But the power is you. Let love guide you, not fear. I took you to church today, deep divers, raising the frequency. I'm in a good mood, deep divers, as you can tell. Life is good. Much love to all of you. Should we go 80s? What do you think, deep divers? Let's have some fun. Let's go 80s. You want to go 80s?
The wait is over.
You want to go 80s, deep divers? I'm so happy. It's a choice. The whole world is just beginning. We already won. It's about us all. So many beautiful deep divers here. So happy. It's a choice. Activated. I'm so happy. It's a choice. That's right. Diving deep. I'm so happy to manifest whatever we want, to be whatever we want. It's a choice. Freedom is a must. We have to become the spoon. We have to become the spoon, deep divers. Oh yeah. You know, one love to all of you deep divers. You are appreciated. We had to rock out with the 80s. Much love to each and every one of you. I'll be back tomorrow. Much love to everyone who was here. One love. Smash that like button. Share the link. You are appreciated. One love. We're out. Peace. Peace.